Yeah, it's next up. It's you come off of East Lansing and Michigan State, and it's kind of everything that you would have expected that game to be. Two really good basketball teams who played really hard, and it comes down to possession and here or there, and you don't expect that to be different. I thought we were very effective. We had our highest rim rate of the year. You could see that Tom had them very dialed in to trying to take away threes, which gave us a lot of opportunities at the rim. I thought we were very effective and very efficient in doing that. I'm very disappointed, obviously, in our free throw shooting. It's hard to go on the road and miss 10 free throws and expect to win, especially in a game like that. Even though Michigan State was below their average, thought we were terrific on the glass in the first half, especially our guards. And then I thought, the second half, they won that battle. We won the battle for the game, but I thought that it was what was really good for us in the first half. But now it's Maryland. Quite arguably could be the most talented team in the league. I love what Kevin's done there with his team. They shoot it. They have three guards who are highly effective from three. Obviously, Reese is a known commodity. Queen is a very talented offensive player and a guy who's had 20 rebound games. And then their bench gets extremely athletic. And Geronimo and Gapara and a team that is as elite athleticism. So very good. Mix up defenses, pick up full court. They want to play a matchup zone, whatever you want to call it. Man, it's not anything we haven't seen from likes of several different opponents this year that we played, but have to be very dialed in and take the opportunities when they're there. They like to run. We like to run. They like to. They have some longer possessions defensively because of the press and force you into some late clock or shorter clock opportunities. But expecting a heck of a ball game against a very talented Maryland team.
Coach, a couple things about Will Briley. First, is that kind of the role that you envisioned for him, that, offensive firepower off the bench and also real aggressive hunting shots, looking for his shot? Is that something that you encourage?
Yeah, it's what he does. He's a guy that has the ability, truly with no matter who you put on him, to get to his spots. He's very unique from that way, and he's a really good hard shot maker. The role, I think, it's just kind of happened. It's been one of those things that I think that early on in his time this season, he's had to work defensively to grow. He's become really good defensively. His length, he's understood the physicality of the game on that side of it that we play with, and so it's it's something that he's really grown into and has become a guy that I have a lot of confidence in defensively. But he got into a little bit of a freshman slump, if you want to call it, where he got off to a great start and then people scouted him and guarded him differently than he'd been seeing. And the good thing about the other night was his attacks on the rim with cuts, and he found some easy baskets. And I keep saying, and I keep telling Will, his next level's when he enjoys getting fouled instead of trying to avoid getting fouled. When he gets a you know, the mindset that there's so many free points at the foul line just by getting hit and taking a smack and playing off dead pivots and some of those things. He'll become one of the best offensive players in the country.
Brad, when you went back and watched, what were the teaching moments for KJ on some of those fouls, and I guess what you think?
Pat the officials on the rear end, call them by name, tell them you love them, give them a hug, send them roses. I've been in conversation with the league on multiple, they agree. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you do. The fifth one was probably a foul. I mean, you know, most, especially star players, don't get those little incidental things like that, but I don't know. That was tough. Just tough night. And it's a shame that America on CBS before an NFL game didn't get to see one of the two freshman All-Americans today named, and nobody got to see him, and truly feel bad that the people in East Lansing didn't get to see him. But yeah, he'll learn.
Brad, Tommy's had 9 assists over the last 2 games. You mentioned Will with the cutting. It seemed like that was a good avenue for you guys, of him finding cutters and just using him as an offensive hub. How have you seen that grow with him?
Tommy's an elite passer. Tommy's an elite shooter. That's a better passer than he is shooter, and facilitator, make guys better, have the opportunity to read situations, not just as a screener, but as a guy who can pop, as a guy who can pass out of the post, as a guy who can pass off the dribble. You know, I think the European guys, both the ones we have are just elite because they can go with both hands in terms of passing. But Tommy understands that there's some of those that look guarded, but defenders have their heads turned. And you know, it's what we used to teach when we ran spread. You know, just throw it, and you can't defend what you can't see. And 2 or 3 of those were pretty well guarded, but defenders don't see the ball, and Tommy knows to throw them. And he's just got a gift. He's got great touch, and of course his size is 7'1". You know, he sees over a lot of people, and most people have to pressure him because he can shoot it. So they're up on him, and those kind of become easy plays. But yeah, it's quite an option, and one that you see why I kicked myself in the USC game when we didn't have KJ. We needed to play through him. He's an elite playmaker.
What are you seeing from your team in the event that KJ's out for a game or stretches of a game in terms of playing without him on the floor and the growth there?
Well, let's not talk about that anymore, because he's played 54% of all the minutes available in league play, and we need to make sure KJ stays on the floor for the second half of the year a lot. And so we're going to go with a really positive attitude that he's going to be on the court a lot, and we don't have to deal with that. But yeah, you know, I think when you get those two together, I think we're one of the best teams in the country. You know, in terms of having playmakers through a point guard and through a big, and they make everybody else's. They affect Trey White. Trey's cutting, Trey's ability to slash is you know, first 2 plays of the game. Look at Ben. You know, we get KJ gets Tommy a dunk, and he gets Ben a wide open 3. Ben didn't get those looks the rest of the game. And that's not knocking anybody else. That's just the ability that Caspers has. And then, you know, the cuts, Tommy sets a lot of those up because they have to guard him, because he's a guy that's going to shoot it and can shoot it and really get hot. So hope we find time to, you know, as the season keeps progressing, to see those guys on the court a lot together.
Coach, rebounding is always important, obviously, but is it enhanced a little bit against Maryland just with the way Queen and Reese attack the glass?
No different than any other game. You know, Michigan State's +10. You know, we're +12, and you know, in those games, it's going to be. You know, we had 11 offensive rebounds at half, and to not do that the second half was disappointing. It's no different just because, they've got two guys that get a lot. Yeah, we've got to go. We've got to do our job and try to hold them to one shot, and in turn, we've got to attack like we always do.
Also on rebounding, you continue to lead the conference in it. Is it something you saw when you put this roster together? I know you preach it, but is it something you saw in what you were assembling, or something you had to bring out in this group?
I think we have to bring it out in every team. I think it's, we had an idea. Merez was a good rebounder, and Tommy had size, and you had all of the intangible things that you like in terms of being big, and but it's different. Like Kylan has 9 the other night. Kylan's almost always played the point and has been back. As a guy that gets back. He's we're a team that wants our guards to defensive rebound. We do 5 defensive rebounding drills every day, every single day. So it's a point of what we practice. And I would hope if anybody came to watch our practices and then watches us play, they know why we do what we do, because we practice certain things a lot.
What's maybe allowed this team to not let one loss become 2? I mean, having lost back-to-back games this year, having lost back-to-back games in 58 straight games, even though last year's different team.
Right. Good players. I don't know. I mean, we like winning. We talk about winning. I don't really have an answer for that. I think we look just at every game and we try to figure out what we didn't do very well in the last game. Do this one, do it better in the next, and have a tremendous distaste for losing. And I've said this many times to our staff. I say it many times to our players. It gets harder and harder and harder for me to handle losing, and I've always been a very, very bad loser. The feelings I get are terrible, and you know what? That's okay, because that keeps driving me and pushing me, and I want those guys to have that same feeling. And if it's ever hody hum, whatever you want to call it, on to the next, we got beat, then I won't be your ball coach very long, because it's got to hurt. And it's the way I was raised, it's the way I was brought up, and it's the way I've tried to build this team. Is losing is not acceptable. So maybe that's, I don't know, but streaks happen, good, bad, all of the above, and you just try to avoid them and do your best when your number's called.
It's been about a month since Neil got here. I guess what for you has changed behind the scenes in your approach to games and maybe just practice in general?
Games and practice, not much. I think the day-to-day stuff with with Neil in terms of the forthcoming portal stuff that we know is a month and a half away. I don't even know where we're at. 2 months away, whatever it is, and understanding kind of what needs look like, what people look like, players, Europe, the world. We're constantly doing those. We're constantly evaluating recruits. Jeff and Orlando just got back from Europe. Both of them were back over there. They've got another trip planned. Keeping up with those. We're constant contact with Zooms, doing kids out recruiting. So it's just Neil diving into all of that and kind of getting his feet wet with the staff and what all that looks like.
Is there something this group does in the learning process after a loss that they can internalize and not make the same mistakes the next time out? I mean, anything you've noticed?
Yeah, we're very high IQ. This is a really high IQ basketball team, and they genuinely want to be good. And there's a difference. That's really hard to find in today's world. But this group, in our pillars and recruiting that we talk about a lot, IQ is a big piece of it. This group's pretty high IQ. They learn pretty quick. This group studies a ton of film, more so than any team we've had in terms of learning and watching film. Led by KJ. I've never been around a kid who watches more film than he does. But it just becomes that. It's learning from mistakes. And it's a group of that. And there's not a time you walk by an office and you don't see a player in with a coach.
Hopefully this isn't a dumb question, but you said losing is maybe getting harder for you to take. Is there anything in particular driving that to make it less palatable for you? Not to suggest you ever liked it, but to make it worse now?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I don't know. I don't know if I have the answer to that. It's harder. I mean, I couldn't shake the USC one. That was hard, and I didn't enjoy this one very. I'm okay when I think our process is followed, and I think that we have played the way we're capable of playing. And I get it. Some nights when you play at the highest level and you play the schedule you're going to play in this league, and that we're going to play at Illinois in the non-league, the other team's going to have some more points. And I'm okay most nights with that for a while. But sometimes when the other factors, we didn't play very well against USC. You don't have your whole team. Your best player doesn't play, for whatever the reasons. Those things just eat at me more. And it's just, I've always said I want to coach the perfect game. I strive for that every single day in practice, and I know it's never going to happen. So at some point, it's where my staff's really good, because I coach the glass half empty, and most of them are the glass half full, and so they give me a nice little perspective on things. But it does get hard, and I don't sleep very good, and I'm working really hard personally at trying not to dwell on things and changing some things in my own personal habits, but they get hard.
Coach, obviously you're going to be better with your best player in the game, but have you looked at the analytics as far as offensive efficiency with KJ running the point as opposed to Kylan running the point?
We do every day. I just go look at the possessions he was in the Michigan State game. He took probably a bad 3 in the second half, but he just diced everybody up. He makes Kylan better. Kylan's so efficient when he's not the primary handler for 35 minutes and plays off of him. Kylan's an elite screener, an elite roller. And Trey White goes through the roof with Caspers on the court. And it's just, and then when you get both of them, he and Tommy, whew, look at the passes that Tommy threw the other day, and it's elite because they're so high IQ, and they just elevate everybody else. And it's nice to see Will grow. Ben's directly affected by KJ a lot, and we need to get Ben more opportunities. That's on me. But man, he just finds a lot organically with Casper. So I don't have our total OER handy, but it's something we look at lineups a lot. And I know when we got certain groups out there, and most of them always involve KJ. That's why I say he's the best point guard in the country. He affects not just points, but he affects everybody's efficiency.
Thanks, Coach.